time now for a big NDTV exclusive. There have been many men and women of the match today. I'm joined by somebody who's one of them, one of the men of the match. Prashant Kishor is joining me live from Kolkata. He's someone who's not actually fighting this election from the front, but fighting it from the back. Not just in West Bengal, by the way, but also in Tamil Nadu. So actually two in the bag today, Prashant Kishor. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Congratulations, by the way, to you.
Thank you.
And
thank you. Thank you, Vasu.
Okay. And also, Prashant Kishor, we'll try and put up that tweet of yours where you said that if the BJP crosses 100, you will give up this profession for good. Now it looks like you won't have to do that. In fact, you might have more clients now. Are there already people phoning you?
Well, I might give up this job even after the victory. So that's not an issue.
No, but tell me, it's been really quite remarkable, because it did look at times that you had your backs to the wall. But looking at the numbers right now, is this something that all along, I'm talking right now of West Bengal, that you felt that you were able to get to this number, that you were going to cross 200, or were you nervous? Be honest now, at some point.
Well, we have been confident about doing very well, and I've been on public record on this. Whether it will be 200 or 190, these things are very difficult to gauge. But we have been quite confident about it. To my mind, all what BJP was trying to do was to build up this massive propaganda that they are winning Bengal. This said, as I have said before in my conversation with many other people, BJP is a formidable force, will continue to be probably a very formidable force here. Results might look to you one-sided, but that does not mean that there has not been a tough fight. It has been a close fight, it has been a tough fight, but we always were confident of the fact that given the situation what it is here, we would be, Trinamool would be able to win many more seats than what most people were willing to give.
What do you think really happened, though, Prashant, during the course of the campaign? Take us through it step by step, because when it started off the campaign, you did seem somewhat more upbeat and more confident. But as it built up, and particularly as Mr. Modi came and again, did you start to see it shift away and towards the BJP?
See, when we started from that time onwards, we have gradually built on the strength of Trinamool. Trinamool leadership post their Lok Sabha performance have been very cognizant of the weakness or the course correction that they should or they should have done. And we have been proactively trying to address those issues, both on the government side as well as on the political side. I think partly the victory is attributed to that, but you know, by and large, it's the strength of the Trinamool here, the leadership of Mamata Banerjee, and people still having the faith and the trust in her leadership that has helped Trinamool win this election.
So, when you said course correction, you're talking about all the steps that you've spoken about elsewhere as well, that there was this sort of public anger, particularly after the cyclone Amphan, worries about whether aid was reaching, worries about corruption, and then you had to find ways of fixing that. Talk about that.
Well, it's not about Amphan. See, as a political party, what happened, you have to be cognizant of what is happening around you. In Lok Sabha, Trinamool did get the setback in terms of you know, the number of seats which they were expecting to win versus the number of seats they won. The good thing about them is that they took cognizant of, they took the responsibility, they recognized where they need to do the course correction, and they did what was needed on their part. Parties can win or lose.
Like what?
it's important that you take, you recognize that yes, you need to make amends with what you are doing, the way you are organizing, the way you are addressing the issues that people expect you to address.
Right.
And probably where BJP has not accounted for the change which Trinamool brought into its working, its effort, its formation post Lok Sabha, and that is why they are up for the surprise.
Right. But you know, really the remarkable thing is that the BJP, through everything at this election, you know, you had close to 40 rallies, 50 rallies by the Prime Minister, Amit Shah, the works, all the big leaders. You know it more on the ground than even I do. And yet, Mamata Banerjee pulled it off.
Well, you know, both sides, whenever you have a tough election, both sides are entitled and they are likely to do all these things what you are mentioning. Sometime it works, sometime it doesn't work. Just because they have done 40 rallies, that doesn't mean that Trinamool is going to lose. This is something which is what I say, people who are not necessarily very well informed.
Yeah.
They extrapolate just by doing, you could do rallies, very big rallies, you could be very successful in doing those things and still can lose elections.
Right.
When Trinamool lost a few seats in Lok Sabha, if you look at the track record of their rallies, Mamata Banerjee used to get as big a crowd as she ever got in her life. But still she went on to lose 18 Lok Sabha seats. So sometimes we give too much importance to what you are doing. See, it's a first past post system. So you might get a lot of things going for you. You might do many things right. Still you could end up on the losing side if the other side is doing better than you.
Right.
It's a relative game.
No, that's fine. But at the end of the day, when you look at the fact that Mr. Modi campaigned there, you yourself have said in conversations that actually turned out to be, became controversial at one point, that you said he's hugely popular in West Bengal. In your reading, why did that not translate into a win for them or a better performance? That you had
but
that
again,
much
I will
traction
say the
for
same
him,
thing
what
I said before. No, before I am repeating what I said before. This is a misunderstanding on the part of those who analyze these things or comment about these things. Just because Mr. Modi is popular, that does not mean that they are going to win all elections. And just because he is drawing a lot of people in the rally, that does not necessarily mean that Trinamool is weak than BJP. But as a person who is working with Trinamool to help them win these elections, I am within my right and this is my style. I would take cognizance of the strength of BJP. Anyone who does not take the strength of their opponent, to my mind, is not right in their approach. Okay. Some people want to say that it was the admission on my part of their strength. I am saying on record, and I have been saying this ad nauseum on record, that I do recognize that BJP has great strength. And even in their defeat, I am saying that they are quite a strong political force in Bengal.
Okay.
But that does not mean that they are going to win. And for someone like me, unless I know and take cognizance of the fact that what are their strengths, how I am ever going to defeat them.
Okay, the other thing which you also said, which again, created a bit of a flutter, was that you said that there's a lot of polarization which is happening, that there is a perception in Bengal, especially amongst Hindus, that there's been a lot of minority pandering, and we saw how the BJP tried to leverage that. How did you fight that? How did you push back against that?
See, Vasu, let me say this on record. In the victory, I want to say that all the parties who are part of the democratic setup in India, they must raise their voice against the election commission, the way elections are conducted. It is completely partial. The way they are allowing the ruling party to conduct and behave in the elections, they are functioning just as extension of BJP. Only if election commission would have been impartial, these numbers would have been much different. I'm telling you, whatever number BJP is going to get,
Yes.
a substantial portion of that seat would be coming because of the systemic support they have got from Election Commission and the similar organizations
in what
who
way?
are responsible to conduct impartial elections.
In what way? In what way have they favored
I
the
can
BJP?
give you, I am telling you with all responsibility, I have never ever in last 7-8 years what I am doing this kind of work I have been doing last 7-8 years. I have never ever seen an election schedule as it has been made in West Bengal. During the COVID time, exposing millions of people to something which is unpardonable to my mind. You have made 45 days, everyone to suffer for 45 days. Just because you wanted to give this advantage to BJP, who all the world thinks that they are very good towards the end. So
Right.
they wanted to have this extra number of days before every assembly goes to poll. And for that you have extended this election from what could have been done in 5 days or 10 days or 15 days, you extended it to 2 months.
Okay. So you're saying the schedule
Someone
was
need
designed.
to talk about this. Second,
Yes. Go ahead.
not only schedule.
Yes.
The second thing is the way religion is being used. To the best of my understanding, as per the rules of the law of the land,
Yes.
you must not use the religion blatantly, at least, to seek vote. The entire BJP campaign in the West Bengal has been in the name of Jai Sri Ram, Om, using symbols, using temples, religious sloganeering. Have you seen a single notice or single effort on the part of Election Commission to stop that? It's a very serious thing. We might have won this time in Bengal, but I'm telling you, this is not good for democracy. So all political parties must object to the conduct of Election Commission, the way they are running elections. It is completely partial.
Okay. That is a point that is noted, but you still didn't answer my question. How did you fight this very, very divisive campaign, this very, as you put it, like centered around Jai Shri Ram? How did you as a party fight that? What strategy did you use?
Towards the end, we have went through the hell with a blatantly partial Election Commission. We went through the hell. They gave the free hand to BJP to do whatever they wanted to do.
Okay. No, but Prashant.
Otherwise, these results would have been far more different than what it is looking.
Okay.
And I'm saying this in our victory.
Okay.
If I would have been saying this after losing, all of you would have said that I am cribbing because I have lost.
Right.
I'm telling in our victory, I'm telling Election Commission has been blatantly partial, and they made our life so difficult, and they did everything that possibly could have been done on their part to help BJP to win Bengal.
Okay, that point is noted, but I'm asking again, how did you fight polarization as a political party?
See, I have explained this in great detail. Those who there is polarization, we have to take cognizance of that.
Yes.
But polarization has a limit. If you look at the data over last 60-70 years, with polarization you can mobilize close to 50 to 55% of the vote of a community which you are targeting. It applies both to Hindus and Muslims. If you look at the vote share of BJP, it will turn out to be the same. They were looking at 70% of Bengal. They are going to get 50-55% of that, and that's the limit of polarization. I'm glad this holds, because this gives confidence to many other parties and political activists who would like to take on BJP, that don't get afraid by this bogey of polarization.
Okay.
There is a limit to the polarization and how much vote it could result into in favor of BJP.
But what about the
they create this hype much before the election, and you think that since it is polarized, you don't even make an effort and you give up and they win, and then you think that they won because of polarization. You don't win because of polarization, you win because you give up without fighting.
Okay, but what about the counter accusation that Mamata Banerjee herself does minority pandering, that she also made that speech where she said that all the Muslims must unite and vote for the Trinamool. The Election Commission actually penalized her for it?
Well, if Mamata Banerjee was penalized for making a statement which actually is half-truth because she has given call to both Hindu and Muslim to unite, then to my mind, entire BJP campaign, star campaigner list should have been barred.
Okay.
If she was barred for using religion, a religious symbol or religious slogan for vote, then nobody from BJP should have been allowed to campaign even one day.
Fair. Okay.
For the first time, I am in this domain. Vashu, I am in this domain for last 6-7 years. I have never ever seen a more blatant use of Jai Sri Ram or the Hindu religious symbols and slogans as much as we have seen in Bengal.
You know, I have to say this is true because I attended a rally of the Prime Minister in a place called Kalyani, 2 hours north of Kolkata, and it was all Jai Sri Ram from beginning to end. I have not seen that even in Uttar Pradesh. I have not even seen it in a Yogi Adityanath rally. It was very, and it was really surprising to hear it in West Bengal, of all places.
The real problem is not that BJP was trying to use it or BJP was using it. For me, the real issue is what was Election Commission doing during all these things.
Of course. Fair enough. But I still want to ask you, while I'm not saying there's an equivalence between Mamata Banerjee making that appeal to the Muslim voter and all the comments we heard from the BJP side, but at the same time, would you say there's still some merit in the argument that Mamata Banerjee was guilty of minority appeasement in her 10 years?
No, see, the fight before these elections have been more to see which party gets the vote of the minorities community. So there might have been an extensive outreach towards that.
Right.
To some it might look, and some are entitled to call it a minority appeasement. I also want to clarify here something more substantive. Couple of leaders have given data saying that, you know, you can't call it minority appeasement or outreach because minorities are still not having the best developmental indicators.
Yes.
These two things are separate. We need to understand. You could use a community for your political benefit and still that community might not benefit.
True.
We have seen in states like UP, you have used Dalits as a vote bank. But that does not necessarily mean that Dalits would move on the developmental parameters.
That's true.
Or reverse, just because Dalits have not moved on the developmental parameters in UP, is not to say that no one has used them as a vote bank.
No, that's true. You're right. There is data that shows you that the status of minorities in West Bengal has not actually improved in the past several decades. It's only changed incrementally. But you're right to say that that doesn't mean there hasn't been the use of them to try and become a vote bank. That's an interesting and important point, two different things. But I want to ask you a little bit, Prashant, about working with Mamata Banerjee because, you know, she's quite a, how do I put it, she's a unique leader, she's got her own style, supposed to be quite temperamental. What was it like to work with her?
No, I have said this before election also. I have no complaints to on that count. She has been absolute delight to work with. Lot of people, when I came here in 2019 June, lot of people said this privately as well as on the public platform that no one can work with Mamata Banerjee. But I tell you, it has been absolute pleasure working with her. Whatever we wanted to do, whatever was needed to be done, she has been extremely receptive. And she has been absolute delight to work with. Well, I have no complaints to make. And that's the reason why I said that if after having all the support and cooperation from her side, if still I am not able to deliver, I must accept and be humble enough to accept that maybe I don't know how to do an election campaign. But you hence I should quit.
Okay, but you worked with many leaders. Give a comparison. Like, what's the difference between her and some of the others you worked with?
It's very difficult to compare. I think let's not get into
comparison. I meant
every individual has a different way
but I meant
working.
Like, okay, but tell me one or two qualities about her which stood out for you. Like, you know, is it the way she takes decisions? Is it a political instinct?
Well,
what?
I would be again repeating myself on this.
Yes.
Her strength is her ability to connect with the people. When she is among the masses, when she is dealing with the masses, she probably connects better than many other leaders I have seen.
Okay, so there's a connection there, but she was open to having you come on, take over so much of the campaign, take decisions. She was okay with all that?
I would presume she was okay. That's why that is why we would be able to do what we have been able to do.
But there was a point where so many leaders were quitting and blaming you for it.
Yes, but see, I have been telling this, people were quitting, were actually largely as part of our own design. If you were discredited, if you were in hand in gloves with BJP, if you are the one against whom people were in your area,
yes,
you would be pushed out. And BJP were very happy at that time, taking them in on their side. Look what the results are showing. All those, and most of them, I would say, if not all, are losing their elections.
You're talking of Suvendu Adhikari amongst others, but let me use
no,
that.
I don't.
No. Fine.
Some of these guys who have been hyped up by media, I told that time also, and I'm repeating. It is Mamata Banerjee who matters. Just because Prashant Kishor has done an election, that does not mean that I am to substitute Mamata Banerjee. The lieutenants could change, but the core of the party is Mamata Banerjee. People have been voting for Mamata Banerjee. If I start feeling that I have become very powerful,
yes,
or I have become popular, then I would make the same mistake what some of these guys have made. They mistook the support which they were having,
yes,
because they were the lieutenants of Mamata Banerjee. They mistook that for their own support, and that is why they have paid the price.
But what about Mamata Banerjee herself? Was there at any point that she was starting to get a little daunted, when the Prime Minister, carpet bombing, very, very intense campaign by the BJP? Did she ever seem daunted or jittery at any point? Again, be frank.
Whenever you are against a party as formidable as BJP, whenever you are going into an election as high decibel, as important as the one which we have seen in Bengal, you have to be cautious. You cannot be complacent. You cannot take things lightly. You cannot be overly confident. But that does not mean that we were scared or we were thinking that we cannot defeat
you didn't
BJP.
answer. Okay, you didn't quite answer my question. Did she at any point seem a bit, worried, jittery, or just?
Well, Vasu, I can tell you on record, all the leaders I have worked before election, before these results, everyone gets a little bit jittery, everyone gets nerves, everyone is human. And or for that matter, any other leader, they might appear very differently on the camera or in the public. Everyone gets nervous.
Okay, everyone.
It is human to get nervous.
It's human. Okay, so you're saying in a way she also was nervous at some point, but that happens. What about Nandigram though, Prashant? Because, we've got to see the final numbers. Of course, she's leading and is, in Nandigram, but was that a close fight? Was there any cause for tension in Nandigram?
We have always been confident that she will win comfortably in Nandigram, and I have no doubt that she will win Nandigram comfortably.
Okay, so that was never a question mark.
Not at least in our minds.
But were you fully on board with the decision of hers to fight in Nandigram? Because that was a big risk.
See, any decision that were taken, you have to take responsibility for that. You cannot say that I was part of this decision and I was not part of that decision. Any decision that was made, right or wrong, I am to take my share of responsibility.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to ask you though, have you had a chance to speak to her today at all?
Yes, many times.
And what was she say? What was the mood and what was
But she will speak to media in couple of hours time once the result numbers settle down. That should be fine.
No, but I'm asking you, without betraying, you know, whatever client confidentiality, did she seem happy with the way things were going? What was that?
First of all, she's not my client.
Okay.
I understand this relationship which you guys make so much client and transaction or contract.
Okay.
But I spoke to her. She is cheerful as she would be on her victory, and I'm sure she will speak in an hour's time or a little bit more once the numbers are a little bit more formed up.
Right, but Prashant, you know, you're saying she's not a client. Okay, then how would you describe this whole arrangement? You tell us.
How do I myself call as a political aid to whoever chooses to work with me or whoever chooses to have me work with them.
Okay, political aid.
I don't have this client and vendor relationship.
No, but Prashant, there is still a financial aspect to this, right? I mean, to get you and your team to come and work for a political party, you still have to make that transaction. And presumably they pay you, and I'm assuming it's a, sort of small amount.
You have asked this question. You have asked this question a couple of times. Let me answer it try to answer it one more time. When you involve someone like an IPAC,
yes,
an organization like IPAC, of course you pay for the campaign.
Right. Because
if there are rallies to be done, if there are research to be done, if there are surveys to be done, if there are polls to be done, that involves money because you have to deploy resources on the ground. But there is no fee. There is no office where you can walk in and say, okay, here I am with XYZ party and I want to give you X amount of check, come and work with us. No one can hire us because we are not available to be hired. We choose to work whoever we choose to work with.
Oh, I see. So people approach you, then you decide. I'll go with
and
A or B.
If you still do not, if you still do not believe,
yes.
If you still do not believe, try your hand with somebody with the biggest possible check that could be imagined, and ask them to come and try to engage IPAC and see what happens.
Okay, I can only think of one party that can. If you're talking of the biggest check, there's only one party. But I don't know if that party will either approach you or you will want to work for that party. But Prashant, come on, give us at least one or two memorable moments, some story from the election. You know, some moment that stood out for you. It could have been a high, it could have been a low. What comes to mind?
Well, Didi meeting with the accident, hurting herself, being in hospital, those 2-3 days were quite troublesome for us.
Okay.
Because it was right at the beginning of the election. We were really worried if she is not able to get out of her bed and campaign. She is the only one campaigner who we were banking on, how to come out with an alternative.
Okay.
Because if she were not able to come out of the bed or hospital and go out and campaign as actively as she finally managed to do, it would have been a bit challenging. So that would be probably the most anxious moment.
Right. But also, like, there was all this criticism that she was just doing drama and there was no real injury. So was that a concern?
Well, all these things, I think people have replied and they have answered loud and clear. At least in the defeat, people should be humble enough to accept that they must have got something wrong.
So when you would
and certainly attacking her doesn't seem to have worked for BJP.
I wanted to ask you about that especially the Prime Minister with the Didi o Didi, because I attended those rallies of his, and I mean personally I found that was very problematic the way that was done, but it was drawing a big response from the crowd. What was your own sense of that from your own polling and surveys? Of that Didi or Didi?
Well, I told you this, probably I have said this to you in one of our conversation. If I remember correctly, you called me from that rally with the same question. I would repeat my answer. It did probably appealed to some of the BJP supporters because they enjoyed it, but it was not necessarily accepted universally, especially among the females. I don't know what BJP was getting as their feedback, but as far as our feedback is concerned, there were many people who did not found it decent enough, especially coming from the Prime Minister.
Right. Tell me a little bit, before I move to Tamil Nadu, tell me a little bit about your meetings with Mamata Banerjee, like when you'd meet, discuss strategy, things like that. How do those go normally?
Normally, she is more interested and more preoccupied with which samosa to eat and which cutlet to try. She is not somebody who sits through the long meetings.
Okay.
But whatever time we are there, whatever is needed to be discussed, she does it. But she is very, very informal, even in her formal meetings.
Okay. So it's more about trying to make sure there's some nice like snacks, samosa hai, cutlets hai, that kind of thing. What?
Yes. She is that like that. She would make sure that she gets you the best samosas from her neighborhood
samosa wala
store, or she gets the best cutlet which she can get it from her household kitchen, whatever. Even in the most serious meetings, she is like that.
What? Prashant, let me ask you this, because you know, this is an election that the way it's been fought, the repercussions go beyond Bengal, and in a way, because of the pandemic and the manner in which there's been a lot of blowback on the government for not really managing the situation, the stakes have become even higher. What is your take on both what happens to Mamata Banerjee in terms of her role now as a political figure, a national political figure, and the implications for the BJP and Mr. Modi?
Well, no political victory could mean anything for those who have lost their loved ones, or those who are suffering today for the want of a bed or oxygen or basic medicine.
Sure.
We would like to dedicate this victory to all those who have suffered, with the hope that at least this will put some pressure on the rulers of this country who to many left the more urgent things like addressing COVID while they were more busy trying to win more territory like Bengal. So hopefully this defeat in Bengal would make them realize that you cannot take people for granted, you cannot abandon those who have voted for you and have put you to rule this country, and you cannot expect them to continue to vote for you despite you not doing what you are supposed to be doing.
You think this could politically hurt the BJP down the line? The whole COVID.
Well, I am nobody to comment about. I don't want to make any specific commentary on that, but it is in general, as a ruler, if you are not sensitive towards the needs of the people, no matter how charismatic you are, no matter what is your organizational muscle, no matter how much resources you deploy, no matter how much system is in your support, ultimately people will make sure that you don't win.
Okay, that's the BJP and Mamata. What about the Congress? What are the takeaways from the Congress here? Because not only could they not win in Assam, they couldn't win in Kerala, where Rahul Gandhi is an MP from Kerala. This is not good for them.
Well, Vasu, what can I say about Congress? I am too small a person to comment about Congress. No, this is for Congress to reflect.
Oh, come on. I mean, let's not.
See.
No, come on.
I'm telling you, this is for the Congress to reflect.
No, that's now being very diplomatic, and that's not like you. You do see this as continuing evidence that the Congress is struggling to get its act together. Mamata Banerjee was in a difficult position after the Lok Sabha elections. Big shock, BJP winning that number of seats. She took steps. She hired a Prashant Kishor, etc., etc. I'm not saying you are necessarily the answer to every political party's problems, but she took steps. She acted. We don't see the Congress doing that. That's not a problem?
Well, I cannot comment about Congress. But what I can say that as a political party, You cannot keep saying that we are not able to defeat BJP because we do not have resource, media is not with us, system is not with us, courts are not with us, because as a political party you have to do your job, which is to go out and fight with all the might. Whether media is with you or not, whether you have enough resources or not, of course when you are in opposition, you are fighting against these things, but if people are with you, if you make a sincere effort, if people are with you, all these things you can win despite
you can
all these
still
things.
pull it off.
Yes.
Will you be open to?
Yes, and
will you be open to
this victory in West Bengal? I hope.
Yeah.
I hope this gives confidence to other political parties who are on the other side of the aisle vis-a-vis BJP, that if you put your act together, if you fight despite limited resources, despite odds being against you, you can defeat BJP. It's not going to be true all the time. It's not that BJP will be defeated all the time.
Right.
But yes, they can be challenged, they can be defeated with the limited resource, with the limited support of media, with the significant advantage otherwise they have because they are ruling India.
Right. Will you consider, I know you had a brush at working with the Congress, will you consider working with them again if they approach you?
No. I'm very good. I'm very happy where I am. First of all, they are 100-year-old party. As you rightly said, a Prashant Kishor, or for that matter, people like us are not the answer to fighting or winning a political battle.
No.
This is for the political party to introspect. They have to organize themselves. Whether it is a victory or defeat, we are contributing only on the margins. We are highly overrated. We cannot make you win or lose.
No. You're being now a little, little bit modesty of the kind which does not suit you. You're a more candid person than that. I'm asking you a straight question. It's not a question of whether you can necessarily turn things around for them or not. But if they approach you as they had earlier, will you consider it?
No, I don't think so. That question is there on the table.
That question is not on the table of the Congress.
No, not at all.
Because you are working with Congress leaders, you are working with Amrinder Singh. He recently,
I tell you, he recently
made you. He recently made you special advisor to the chief minister.
No, he has made me a special advisor, or whatever principal advisor he calls it. That is on the government side. I am not committed to help him on the election side. See, it's not about Congress or Amrinder Singh or anybody else. There is no point in me going and working somewhere where I would not be able to do what I want to do.
Right.
It will only hurt them and it will hurt me. What is the point in me trying to work with Congress if they are not open to accept what I am suggesting?
Now we are coming to it. You're saying that it's not that you may be averse, but Congress may not be open to necessarily making that shift to the Prashant Kishor model.
It's not a question of Prashant Kishor model. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
They have to recognize that there is a problem and they need to do something about it. Right. Whether they do it themselves, whether they do it with somebody from outside, or whether they don't do it, that's their call.
Right.
What can I or you do about it?
But, between Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, which was tougher? I mean, clearly, I'm assuming it had to be, West Bengal. But Tamil Nadu was much easier, or was it also a challenge?
See, no election is easy. No election is easy, as the results are showing. You look at the numbers. Lot of people who thought that Tamil Nadu is a cakewalk, just you go fight and you will have 2/3 majority. Actually, it's not happening. A lot of people who thought West Bengal is very tough,
right,
and you will not get the 200 number. We are getting that number in West Bengal.
Right.
So no election is easy. It looks easy to some who sit outside. Of course, when you are taking a formidable party like BJP, who is formidable because of the way they fight election, because of the fact that they have charismatic leaders under their ranks. They are the ruling party of India. They have media completely backing them. They have unlimited resource to fight. All those things makes them formidable
but you're saying
challenger.
It's never easy.
That is not to say that Tamil Nadu is easy. It's never easy. You look at the numbers in Tamil Nadu and you know yourself.
No, no, it's true. And also you had the challenge of someone like Stalin who's 68 and you have to sort of, you know, rebrand him and make him say, okay, this is, you know, this is Stalin, this is his time, all of that, right? So that must have been challenging in its own way.
Yeah, every election, see, Tamil Nadu has its own challenge, the language, the culture, the vast state, the party which has lost their leader, Mr. Karunanidhi, they are fighting for the first time under the leadership of M.K. Stalin, who hasn't won an election other than the last Lok Sabha election under his leadership.
Right.
So all those things were there. You cannot say that it's very easy. Yes, you sit in Delhi and then you say Bengal is difficult, Tamil Nadu is easy. It's because you think BJP is the only party that can be a tough opponent.
No, no, I'm sure. Every election is a challenge. But as we start to wrap, so let me just understand this. Right now, you're working with Mamata Banerjee, you're working with Stalin. Will you continue to work with Mamata Banerjee, you know, down the line, and Stalin?
See, this, I want to quit this space. I want to quit this space and I want to be on record with you. I want to quit this space, leave IPAC to be run by the leadership team of IPAC and do something else, spend time with my families. I haven't met my wife or son for months. So I'd rather go and spend some time with them and then we will see where life takes.
What do you mean? This is a big thing you're saying. Are you saying you're quitting IPAC for good or you're just taking a break?
I will quit this space any which way.
You're quitting the space of doing this election management or campaign strategy, whatever you call it.
Yes, yes. I have no desire to continue in this space any longer.
Wow. Why? If I may ask?
And all those who were trying to troll me or who are trying to tell that, you know, BJP will cross 100, then you will be looking for a job. I am telling in the victory, I am quitting this space. I don't want to do this any longer.
1 second. This is quite a bombshell you've just dropped on live television. Why are you quitting? Because you've been part of now 2 winning
because
campaigns.
I have had enough. Because I have had enough, 8-9 years. It's a tough job. I have done it enough. I want to pursue something else in my life, I will do that. I don't have to be doing this all my life, and I have been saying this in every conversation I have with people around me.
Wow, that's quite a dhamaka.
And beyond that, there are very able people within IPAC, the guys who run the show here. I just take credit for a lot of it. Those guys, it's time for them to take over and continue to do whatever they want to do under the brand of IPAC.
No, no, but I must push you here because this is a sort of a, you know, as they say, last over googly you've bowled. That are you burnt out, or is it that you want to try politics now? Because you did kind of go into that space, particularly in Bihar with the JDU. Are you interested in politics? You want to jump into politics more directly?
I'm not making any, I'm just telling that I do not want to continue to do what I'm doing. I have had enough good, bad, ugly, whatever I had to contribute. I have done my bit.
Okay.
Now it's time for my colleagues in IPAC to take over and me to take break and consider doing something else in life.
So you're not ruling out politics?
I'm not ruling in or ruling out anything. I'm just saying that I want to quit this space.
Do all your IPAC people know this?
Most senior colleagues, they know it. Of course they know it.
Okay, because I'm wondering if they're just listening to this right now on live television and going like, what the heck just happened? They know.
No, they know. They have spent long enough time with me to know what I think and what I want to do in my life. So they would be the least surprised ones from this announcement, if you are calling it an announcement.
Ever thought of becoming a television anchor? Just
I'm not qualified, maybe. I'm not qualified.
I see. That's very interesting, because I was actually going to ask you what next, because, you know, you had, like I said, you've got Mr. Amrinder Singh, you've got Stalin now, you've got Mamata Banerjee, 3 chief ministers, but you're saying in the middle of all this, you're walking out of this space. I think it's fair to say, Prashant, I mean,
Yes.
you know, I've known you for some time, that this does indicate that you want to jump more into the political akhada. You tried to sort of flirt with that with Bihar. You stopped short of jumping in last year, but is that pulling you now? I mean, is that a...
Well, I have said this before and I am repeating, I am a failed politician. I tried my hand, I failed miserably. I have to go back and equip myself, probably learn even before I even think about it.
I see. Okay, but that could be one particular path. Are you thinking, again, we're just doing a little bit of crystal ball gazing here, like some kind of federal front, you know, group of coalition of parties?
Vasu, you are not getting anything out of me on this. All I'm telling is I'm very happy that we have been able to help Didi and MK Stalin to win. Now, I think IPAC is in the firm footings as an organization. They are guided and led by very able people. They should be able to take this forward and allow me to take the break and do whatever else I want to do in my life.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm saying that, you know, some people quit and they take up strawberry farming, or they open a bar on a beach in Goa. I'm guessing that's not the route. That's not the alternate career path which you're thinking about. I mean, I think about that sometimes, but I don't think that's your jam.
Maybe I'll go and maybe I will go to Assam and with my family there, I would start doing tea gardening.
Tea gardening, right. No, this is that whole jhola uta ke main nikal jaunga. I don't think that's happening to any of you or anyone else.
I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm quitting, and there is no doubt about it.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a bombshell you've dropped. As I said, last over bombshell on this interview. But anyway, listen, it's been great talking to you. Congratulations once again. You know, what you do down the line is another matter. But for now, 2 big wins in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal. By the way, sorry, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if the camera is in a position where we can we see your team and kind of get a sense of, like, I don't know, is that possible at all? We can show them.
If you ask your cameraman to go and see, that will be all they can capture is the chaos around office, but they can always go and see.
Can they do that right now? Because I can't actually speak to my cameraman. Can you ask him to?
He's right here. He can go and dekh lijiye aap bahar, agar if they want to take a shot, they can. They are free to do that.
Let's try and see.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll try and do it after this. Thanks very much indeed, Prashant Kishor, for talking to us. Thanks so much.